that research is one of the Waterloos among HEIs in Mindanao. So just to um, refresh us regarding how CHED evaluate research performance. Okay, I know you know this already, but just so we talk on the same at the same level. Okay, so for levels 1 and 2, the emphasis is more on faculty development, more MSs, more PhDs, and a little bit on the productivity. But there's a shift when we go to the higher level, levels 3 and 4. The shift is more on output, publications, patents. Okay. Of course, there's still that part on faculty development and the manpower development, but the percentages given to outputs are higher. These are good criteria as I see it, but do not truly reflect for me the true quality. Okay, because what is usually reported to CHED are numbers. How many of this, how many of that, percentage of this, percentage of that, but quality. Okay, so that's one thing that I noticed. And because these are primarily based on numerical counts, which may be more applicable for a start, but should graduate to a higher level to reflect the true quality of R&D in a university. And so performance indicators should not depend only on simple number crunching. Probably we could go further, checking on the impact. What is the impact of R&D in the community, for example, okay, or in the industry? So we did small steps towards national and international recognition. Okay, we are a member of the CHED Fernet. You know CHED Fernet because UP is a member of CHED Fernet. We are also a delivering higher education institution of the CHED and DOST. So we have several DOST scholars and CHED scholars studying at MSU IIT. We also started the first innovation hub in Mindanao. Okay, we have our technology business incubator, we have our IDEA Center, we have our Fab Lab, and we have our InnoHive. InnoHive is where students, faculty, and even people from the community just get together, have some coffee, have some snacks, and then talk about possible collaborative projects. Okay, we are also a member of the ERDT Network for Engineering. Okay, and of course, the first PCHRD2 Plus Lunas Development Center was established in 2012 at MSU IIT. Okay, we probably have the highest number of CHED COEs and CODs in Mindanao. CHED Centers of Excellence and Centers of Development in Mindanao. And we are a member of the ASEAN University Network for Engineering. Okay. And more recently, we're very happy. We were included in the top 500. We're happy with that. We were ranked from 451 to 500 category of the QS. Okay, there were eight institutions in the Philippines included in the QS. Of course, nobody can beat UP. Okay, UP is the number one. Okay, and then you have the other universities in Manila, and then there is one in the Visayas and one in Mindanao. So we're happy to say that we did have small strides, and we would like to continue working on this. In terms of science and technology innovations, we began with policies again, because we cannot move without policies backing us up. And I was one of those that framed our intellectual property rights policies in the institute. Okay, we generated our IP manual, and we created our intellectual property unit, which is now linked to our ITSO. Okay? So 2010, when we started um, suggesting or recommending to the UST to help us set up our technology business incubator, 2010, or even earlier than that, uh, I was one of those attending workshops already on TBI. Okay, so there was one that was sponsored by Invent of Germany. Okay, and then of course IPUFIL is always there. 2011, just before Sendong, I was in Manila to present our proposal. And you know, the common comments coming from the evaluators is this: hey, Franco, you still need to work on your innovation ecosystem. Work on it because without it, your TBI will not work. Okay? At that time, of course, as a biologist, as a microbiologist, I am more familiar with the biological ecosystem. But an innovation ecosystem, okay, is that I really had to work hard and study what would be the components of an innovation ecosystem. Okay? I will share with you in a while. Then there is a need for us to strengthen our academe industry collaboration because we only had, at that time, we had very limited dealing with the industries. Iligan has a lot of industries, but we did not have, a very strong collaboration with the industries. And of course, the fabrication lab, the Fab Lab, is a very big help to us. Okay. So 2011 until 2016, we worked hard to develop what was required by the UST and the evaluators on our innovation ecosystem. And I was very happy that in 2016, we were able to set up, this network of institutions and agencies that would be very important in sustaining our innovation ecosystem. So we launched this, our MSU IIT Innovation Hub in 2016. So we call this innovation convergence. We had a celebration on this, and some high-ranking officials from the different agencies of the government came and supported. And the convergence was geared towards providing sufficient and sustainable innovation, technopreneurship, and science and technology ecosystem for the community and by the community. Okay, because we cannot really sustain our innovation ecosystem without the support from the community. So it's a community effort now that's sustaining it. Then we had our Fab Lab, thanks to DUST and DTI, which supported the establishment of our Fab Lab. I think it's the first Fab Lab in Mindanao. Okay? And I'm glad that we have also a very good manager, and we're now helping the industry, especially problems on robotic arms and others. Okay? We are accumulating equipment that would make the Fab Lab more suitable to help industries and other sectors in society with their problems, including prototyping. Okay, so our engineering students develop their own drones. Okay, starting from designs using their computers, and then taking the designs to the Fab Lab and have it fabricated in the Fab Lab. Okay, even small-scale manufacturing of prototypes for Kickstarter enterprises. Okay, they come to us from the community and we help them. Okay, so we also provide training for Internet of Things and help, in robotics problems. Every year for kids, for high schoolers, we have a program called Sumo Bot competition. Okay, students design their robots just like sumo wrestlers, and there is a match. Okay, so this is between one robot and another robot. They 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 do wrestling, and students and even children, they get fascinated, and their interest is kindled, and they would like to go into technology, science and technology vocations. Okay, so robotics, robotic arms. Okay, smart farming partnership with our local farmers. Okay, then we have the Technology Business Incubator, the TBI, which is also now we refer to it as the Center of Innovation and Technopreneurship. And every year we do have startups, okay? And we help, it's not only for MSU IIT, it's for the community. And we're expanding our services to other parts of Mindanao, okay? Our research trusts are actually designed according to what the UST and CHED and the other line agencies, want to prioritize. But we have our 5 main R&D thrust or agenda on material science, alternative energy sources, biotechnology, health and environment, natural products, and drug discovery and development. We have a very simple approach to research culture enhancement. Very simple, okay? We capacitate our people, and then when they're capacitated, we incentivize them. We give incentives, and then we evaluate. Okay? If there's a need for retraining or retooling, we retrain and retool. Okay? Until we get the feel of it, and then internalize it. And so this is just the way we manage our R&D and to enhance research culture. Okay, so in terms of incentives, again, we have a research load equivalence from 3 units to 9 units, depending on the scope of the project. For a single project, you have 3 units, but it could also be 6 units if it really requires a lot of time, or 9 units, okay, for a program, for instance. Then the International Publication Award is in place. We are still trying to, I'm no longer the director of research, but our faculty members are still trying to contact me and say, can you please increase our incentive, our IPA from 50,000 to at least 70 or 80,000. So I'll do my best because I'm no longer the director of research. But yes, I will support that. Okay. So Research Dissemination Award for international conferences. Depending on geographical location, we give from 50,000 now up to 175,000 is a package. If you present a paper in the United States or in Europe, okay, or Australia, you get the maximum 175,000. Okay, and that's not, you don't have to liquidate it. It's an award. So ikaw nang bahala. You spend how you spend it. Okay, you get the cheapest airfare, you can save. And then when you're in a foreign country, you can stay in the cheapest place possible. Sanay naman tayo dyan, simple living. So you can save. Ganyan. So 175,000 is the highest. Then, of course, we have our professorial chair lecture. It's a modest 20,000, but it's good. Okay, it's an incentive. So other incentives in research would be patent registration fee support. We know that you need to pay, and the university will shoulder the registration fee. And of course, assisted drafting of patent application. We do that regularly every semester. There are workshops in MSU IIT through our ITSO. And of course, an assured royalty share of 60% whenever a patent is commercialized, okay, for whoever would be the, the originator. There are current challenges prior to my departure as the director of research last year. Current challenges that I have seen. One is on leveling up of the R&D excellence criteria. Okay, from simple numbers to how many of the publications are patented? Okay, so we may have a lot of publications in science and technology, but how many of this get their place into patents? Very challenging. Okay, and also not only the number of PhDs, because sometimes, you know, some of our faculty would brag, hey, we have the highest number of PhDs in Mindanao. Yes. But then, how many of these are doing research and publishing on a regular basis? How many? So this is one area that I have seen that is a new challenge. And I hope that the one who replaced me will take up this challenge. Another is, everybody has heard of Industry 4.0. We're talking about this in many fora. And what will be the effect on this on R&D? I believe that there is a big impact on Industry 4.0. Okay, what would be the types of researchers that we encourage? It would no longer be a single author, a single researcher, single discipline. I believe that it will be more collaborative and transdisciplinary in nature. Okay, transdisciplinary, which is one of the weaknesses according to our counterparts in Western countries. Asians are not very good in this. Okay, we want to have our turf. We work on that, and we don't want anybody to cross path with us. Okay, but that would be past. I think it's time for us to look forward and work together with other disciplines, okay, so that we can have transdisciplinary researchers. And how do we manage this? So I would see the need for a manager who can manage, you know, with a broad scope in mind, and you know, in a transdisciplinary way. So why Industry 4.0 is so different from earlier forms, Industry 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Okay, I know you know this, but I would like to say this again, because this Industry 4.0 is on the edge of artificial intelligence, digital ubiquity, and cyber physical systems. It's on its way to what we call a singularity, and I think people in the you know, in information and ICT understand singularity, that is the difference between artificial robotic intelligence and human intelligence would be already divided by a very fine line. So probably we wait for the time when robots can become self-aware, and now it becomes a science fiction movie-like phenomenon, okay? And this Industry 4.0 is projected to disrupt our way of life in still unknown magnitude, okay? The future problem, according to some technologists, would be not the lack of employment, but the shortage of skills that new kinds of jobs require. So we have Industry 4.0. Should we match this with Education 4.0? And is there a Research 4.0? So probably some of us can think about this. And then, you know, it's not only disruptive curricular changes, but novel curricula out of the box teaching type, okay? The ultimate goal is for our students to thrive, not only to survive, but to thrive in an anticipated, complex, futuristic world. So what kind of researchers should we engage to harness Industry 4.0 and not become overwhelmed by it? How do we evaluate research excellence and research performance in the framework of Industry 4.0? I would say we need a quantum leap in research. Soaring behind, what lies ahead? Redefining our definition of university from knowledge generation to innovation generation, because according to CHED, university is one that generates knowledge. But then I think we need to change that. It's not only knowledge, but innovation generation. Okay? And emphasizing the 4 C's in culminating learning outcomes, okay, which is, I think, familiar to you who are into OBE. OBE. According to William Spady, he was in Cagayan de Oro just 2 weeks ago. He said, the first thing I would like you to do is to stop calling your curricula as obidized. He told us that because your curricula are not really obidized. Okay? So the ones that we thought are the signatures for OBE, according to CHED, is hindi pa. Meron pa palang kulang. And there are four things that I think and I believe are primary for us as faculty researchers and for our students to imbibe in them. One is the ability to communicate. Communication is very important. We have to be able to communicate to people outside of our discipline. How do we do that? So we have to be something, no? Then there is no more time for single work. It's collaboration and more collaboration and more collaboration. And the ability to think critically, which many students are still learning to have. Many of our students are contented on memorizing things, okay, doing what they are told to do, never to question. But critical thinking, I think, is very important for the future. And of course, creativity. Critical thinking is important for our students and for us to become problem solvers, but creativity is important for us to become problem finders, to be able to recognize a problem and then solve it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Teves. Again, for those who want to ask questions, please reserve them for the open forum later. Now our next speaker earned his degree in Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, major in Animal Science at University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He completed his master's and PhD in ruminant nutrition from University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and finished his postdoctoral research from Kansas State University in USA. In 2017, he was awarded as Philippine Society of Animal Science, or PSAS, Distinguished Fellow, the highest award given in the organization of PSAS during the 54th PSAS Scientific Seminar and Annual Convention. He was also given recognition as the 2016 Distinguished Alumni for Animal Nutrition and Production by the Board of Directors of the College of Agriculture Alumni Association. In 2014, he was ranked as Scientist 1 by National Academy of Science and Technology and Scientific Career Council. He is also the 2010 Outstanding Center Director of Philippine Carabao Center, or PCC, and was recognized as the Outstanding Young Scientist Award in 2000 by NAST. Our guest speaker was appointed as the Center Director of PCC at UPLB from 1997 to 2014. Currently, he serves as Executive Director of PCC, covering 12 regional centers nationwide. Please welcome Dr. Arnel N. Del Barrio.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Good morning to everyone. Paano ba gamitin? Okay. So, first of all, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Jane Reyes for inviting me here, maybe forcing me to be with you today, because as you know, we are very busy at the Department of Agriculture, so many activities, And today I have maybe 3 or 4 activities to attend to after my presentation. So I think Dr. Rasco knows these schedules, no? Because he was the former director, executive director of PhilRise. Anyway, the topic is about transforming challenges into innovations in financial and administrative system in the R&D organizations. But yesterday I called the organizer for me to deviate a little bit from the topic because I cannot claim that I am not an expert in administration, likewise in financial management system. Rather, I would like to share our innovations, R&D innovations in creating livelihood opportunities for the farmers. As instructed by our secretary, your research should address the need of the farmers. So that's why, as a research agency, we are tasked to innovate so that we can develop technologies, transfer the technologies, and this technology should increase the income of the farmers. That is the task given to us by our secretary. The outline of presentation is a very short introduction. I will give you salient points of the creation of the Philippine Carabao Center, because understanding the law serves as basis to craft your program. And maybe some of you will be consulted on how to draft a law, because this is very crucial, because the law will be the basis for your vision and mandate. So I will describe briefly the Carabao Development Program, our R&D priority areas, some management system, and after 25 years, maybe we can say that we have some program outputs and impacts. In the 1970s, there are 2 questions that were posed by the government to some professors here at UPLB. That serves as the basis for establishing the Carabao Research Program. Actually, the Carabao Research Program started here in Los Baños. It started with a very small program funded by Picard. Hindi pa Picard dati, but used to be, I forgot the name, but started from UPLB. And the first question was, how can millions of smallholder farming families generate additional income? And during that time, the definition of a household composed of 5 members, annual income of about 60,000, and the resources, just a piece of land, about 1.5 hectares. And the next question is, can we harness the millions of existing draft Carabao resources and transform them from being draft animals into producers of milk, meat, and thus would increase or maybe help increase farmers' income? In the 1970s, small hand tractors were introduced in the Philippines, of course, by Japan. And in the 1970s also, we have about 4 million Carabaos. And because of that introduction of machines, slowly, the Carabaos that are used for draft are sold for meat purposes. There was a rapid decline in buffalo population, and it reached close to 2 million in the early 80s. That prompted the government to ask the Department of Agriculture and maybe Picard, what are you going to do with the buffalo? Are you going to allow it to vanish, or you have to do something about it? So these two questions were addressed by an R&D initiative developed here at UPLB, CLSU, and some other state universities and colleges. The first Carabao R&D program was funded by FAO UNDP from 1983 to 1992 to explore the other potential of this animal, for example, a source of meat, a source of milk, and other purposes. Because we cannot stop the slaughter of this animal, because the farmers don't need this anymore, because they have hand tractors. They have machines that can easily prepare the land. Maybe one hand tractor is equivalent to 4 to 5 buffaloes at that time. So they don't need the carabaos. So the question, what are you going to do with this animal? So the FAO Picard funded project has two phases. The phase one from 1982 to 1997 is just to understand whether the animal can be improved from just draft animal and explore other potential. For example, if we cross this native buffalo with imported Miura buffalo, what will happen to the crossbreds? Because swamp buffalo has 48 chromosome number, and the Miura buffalo has 50 chromosome numbers. And the crossbreds, no? What is the chromosome number of the crossbreds? 49. And during that time, the worry is the crossbreds are infertile. So that was the worry. So research proved that the crossbreds are fertile. So that's the main idea during the time. And if the crossbreds are fertile, then we can continuously produce the crossbreds and try whether the growth rate is faster, milk production is faster, and therefore it can contribute to the daily income of the farmers. Of course, breeding program cannot be completed in 5 years. So the project was extended for another 5 years, and the next thing to address is whether the crossbreds are acceptable, because farmers are small, maybe small, and the buffaloes are bigger. Mature weight of native buffalo is maybe 400 kilos, 450, and crossbreds buffaloes can reach up to 700 kilos. So is that socially acceptable to the farmers? And is it economical to raise that animal for meat, and for dairy? So those were the questions that were asked, no? And the phase two findings prove that crossbreds is fertile. Crossbreds, the average daily gain of crossbred is about 700 grams. So it grows twice as the native, and it can produce 3 to 4 times more milk than the native Carabao. And therefore, the conclusion of that study is it can really help the farmer increase their income. And therefore, a very good opportunity to improve the program and apply at the level of the and implement nationwide. So the results from 10-year R&D initiatives toward developing the Carabao became the basis of the law, the creation of Republic Act 7307. It proved that it can directly help the farmers and the community. So just imagine a very simple research proposal, research output implemented in 10 years and became the basis to create a national program. So you cannot ignore the effect of research. It can be the stepping stone for a greater good of the country. So, paano naman nag-start yung batas? Can I speak in Tagalog? Because I can put some emotions when I speak in Tagalog. Nagsimula talaga ang creation ng Philippine Carabao Center dito sa Los Baños. Because during that time, sino bang chancellor natin that time? Chancellor de Guzman. Sino bang kasintanda ko? Si Chancellor de Guzman. And sino bang senador that time? Si President Erap. Di ba brother-in-law sila? Sabi nila, Chancellor de Guzman, ano ba yung pwede nating gawing batas? Nasa Senado ako, naghahanap ako ng mga programa na gusto nating lagyan ng batas. Ang ginawa ng ating chancellor, tumawag sa animal science. Nandun yung mga pioneers ng animal science, including, siyempre, nandun si Dr. Arboleda, nandun si Dr. Momongan, and other professors. And they remember the results of the FAO UNDP funded project. And immediately, they submitted the proposal to the Chancellor, and the Chancellor submitted to ERAP. The rest is history. Nagkaroon ng Carabao Development Program, and the law was created. So, diyan nagsimula ang ating programa sa Carabao Development Program. Started po dito sa UPLB, and ako po ay parte ng history. I joined the FAO UNDP project after my graduation in 1983, and since then, hindi na po ako umalis sa Carabao Research. So, ano po bang binabanggit dun sa batas? Ito po ay isang act creating the Philippine Carabao Center to propagate, promote the Philippine Carabao and for other purposes. The objective, conservation. Conservation because the population that time was declining fast. Propagation because we want to increase the number. Not necessarily the native Carabao, it can be other breed types. Promotion because the objective is to generate income to help the farmers. So conservation, propagation, and promotion are the mandates of the PCC. The animal can be source of draft animal, source of meat, milk, and hide. I will not enumerate the challenges, and I will not enumerate the innovations, but you can see from my presentation what are the things done during the last 25 years. Oops. The vision is simple. It's based on the law because the law is important. So our vision, and of course I have to recognize Dr. Liv Cruz, our former executive director, who served for 22 years. I served only for 4.5 years. So Dr. Cruz was really the guy who developed the Philippine Carabao Center. And the vision is for PCC to be a premier research institution. So this is the vision. I was part of the preparation, creation, the vision, because I was already employed by PCC at the time. So we want to be a premier research institution. So this is the vision, and the mission is really to serve the farmers. Well, maybe I would like you to see the Philippine Carabao Center today. We started from a very small office in Manila at the Bureau of Animal Industry. Isang table, apat, siguro isang maliit na room with 4 people. So, but now, so this is the national office of the Philippine Carabao Center. And this is the Livestock Innovations and Biotechnology Laboratory. Maybe at this point in time, we can claim that in terms of livestock, we have the most advanced laboratory. Maybe not for all agriculture, but for livestock alone. And somewhere here is my office, hostel, and facilities. And our clients, the farmers. So I would like to mention some salient points. Kasi nag-aaral tayo, di ba? Siguro sabi ko nga kanina, baka later on you will be part ng crafting ng batas eh. So ano ba yung nakita naming important salient points of RA 7307? So I invite you to Section 5, Powers and Functions of PCC. 5E, undertake research in all disciplines. Very clear stipulation of function. Section 7 also, PCC ad board, and Section 12, regional centers, where the centers will be located. So the members of ad board of PCC, of course, Chancellor of UPLB, presidents of CLSU, CMU, CSU, DMM, MSU, MMSU, VSU, CMU, USM, na doble pala yata yung MSU, yeah, and MSU. So this is an important stipulation of the law. Why? Because the centers are established in R&D institutions. Nandiyan na, hindi ka na maghahanap pa. Established in R&D institutions for complementation of resources. And during the time, manpower, laboratories, funds, and many more. Narinig ko pa sinabi ni Senator Maceda, kailangang ilagay yan sa mga research institutions. Ilagay natin sa mga universities dahil kapag hindi natin ginawa yon, katulad lang yan ng ibang stock farms. Walang nagagawang research. So that was the message mentioned by Senator Maceda. Section 15 also, on income. This is also very important. Kaya kung gagawa kayo ng batas, ilagay nyo ito. Any income from the sales of Carabao shall be placed in a revolving fund to be used in the propagation and distribution of Carabaos. Dito po kami nakakaluwag. Because mga 100 million din yan eh. So, it provided additional revolving funds for program implementation. Kaya yung mga farms namin, self-sustaining. Hindi kami palaging naghihingi. Because, incentive yun eh. Kapag may income, mayroon kang siguradong pondo. And on the use of funds, sinabi rin ng batas na 10%, 10% of funds is for research and development. Kaya pag pumunta kami sa DBM, when we present our budget to DBM, PCC research yan. Then no question. Pero pag humingi ako ng pondo para sa milk feeding program. That is not your mandate. So ganun po ka-clear ang DBM when it comes to funding. And then we were given additional mandates by the secretary. For example, AO8, expanding the mandate and function of PCC to cover other livestock species. Bakit po importante ito? Because during that time, Carabao alone cannot justify the establishment of a big livestock laboratory. So Dr. Cruz convinced the DBM that if PCC will cover other ruminant species, bibigyan pala siya ng pondo from the PL 480 fund. So we have the Livestock Innovation and Biotechnology Laboratory. So napaka-importante ng mga laws or AOs that would trigger yung further development. And AO6 recently, in 2016, likewise designated, kasama po ang PhilRice dito, likewise was designated as the host of Livestock Biotechnology Center for conducting and coordinating livestock biotechnology R&D. Maging host ka pala, 18 million din sir to For the next 2 years, 18 million din ang allocated to PCC. So this is also an important strategy to generate more funds. For example, we say, no, I don't want to sign a MOA with DA. Of course, wala akong additional fund. Palagi naman problema, pondo pag binigyan ka ng pondo, ayaw mong pumirma ng MOA, walang mangyayari. So you have to be strong, bold, and ready to receive many AOMs para magkaroon ng additional fund. So maybe PCC has the biggest laboratory because our laboratory is not the 4 walls ng building. Our laboratory is the whole Philippines because all over the Philippines we have 2.8 million Carabaos at this point in time. So we do basic research, we do applied research, we transfer technology, and we measure the impact, the output and the impact to our farmers. So we have initially 13 regional centers, now 12. PCC at MSU was merged to PCC at USM. So in each center, we call it the gene pool with 25 to 400 animals. We have the dairy zone. It's a community with buffaloes that can be used for dairy or meat production. We have also the research, not big, but research and learning facility. That's where we distribute the technologies to our clients. So the whole Philippines is our laboratory. That's the word from our former executive director. It's not the laboratory that I constructed. It is the whole Philippines is your laboratory. So programs. Lahat ng programs namin research-based. Kahit walang proposal, we collect data. The first program is improving the animal. It is about genetic improvement program so that the animal will improve its productivity. Hindi tatanggapin ng farmer kung walang economic gains. So we have to focus on the problems of the animal, increase its growth rate, milk production, reproduction, reduce mortality, reduce morbidity, etc. So that's a continuing research. Breeding is a continuing research. We started 20 years ago. Now we have good selection of best bulls. Best bulls. If I can only invite you to our bull farm, we have the best bulls in the Philippines. We can produce 500,000 doses of straw annually and distribute for national AI program. But that is a product of research. Ang dami pong research na ginawa dyan so that fertility will be improved, reproduction will be improved, etc., etc. So genetic improvement program is the key to develop further the animal. Next is buffalo-based enterprises. When we started yung milk production dito sa UPLB, way back in 1997, walang gustong uminom ng gatas dito sa UPLB. So nag-office to office kami, offering yung Carabao's milk. Ang sagot ng mga taga-UPLB that time, hindi po kami umiinom ng gatas ng kalabaw. Baka po ang aming gusto. So pinautang ko, salary deduction, sa accounting, lahat, dinalda ko dyan. And doon nagsimula ang, masarap pala, utang pa. Di ba? Masarap na utang pa, salary deduction pa. So that's how I started. That's how I started promoting Carabao's milk in Los Baños. So now, maybe alam niyo yung milk creme, no? So that's today, after 25 years, na kami na namumroblema kasi wala ng gatas. Dahil ang Los Baños community, kaya palang ubusin yung gatas namin in half day. Dati naabot ng 1 buwan, ngayon kalahating araw na lang. Anyway, the second program is about buffalo-based enterprises, providing technical assistance for the development of Carabao-based enterprises. Again, marami po kaming research na ginagawa dyan to be able to develop the product. Actually, nag-start yan sa organizing a cooperative, training the cooperative, etc., etc. Ang haba po ng technical preparation until they can prepare the product, package the product, and market the product. That's a lot of research. And soon, by next year, we'll produce the best ice cream from Carabao's milk. But the ice cream machine is very expensive, 1.3 million. So you have to buy more so that we can buy ice cream maker. So we ensure that the product is, of course, very good quality, very good packaging, hindi pa, marami pang improvement, and safe. We have to comply with the Food Safety Act. Kailangan yung kalabaw maayos, yung milking process maayos, and then processing is maayos, packaging is maayos, and then product should pass through the quality test. And to have an encompassing program is research and development. So in the two program components that I mentioned, puro research yun eh. But yung research na yon is being coordinated by this program. This is to development and refinement of technologies leading to a more productive Carabao industry. So sabi ko nga sa inyo, in livestock maybe, we have the best laboratory. We can do DNAs, market-assisted selection, etc., etc. Sa plant, Philrice siyempre ang number 1. So, just like what Dr. Teves mentioned, we have also our priority areas. And these R&D priority areas are product of series of consultations with our clients, with our partners, stakeholders of the industry. 3 taon yata namin itong kinonsulta sa ating stakeholders to come up with 10 priority areas for research. And just like what Dr. Reyes mentioned, we are research for development. We emphasize on development. We do research with practical applications. We do research with relevant and useful applications to the livestock industry, and generally we do applied research. So, and we are guided by the value chain analysis of the industry. We have the value chain for dairy, and we have the value chain for meat. So that is the basis for the priority areas of the PCC. So in terms of genetic improvement, so priority areas, maybe I have to enumerate because you may be interested. You may be interested to participate with us. So these are the priority areas, and in terms of animal health and biosafety, these are the priority areas. Nutrition and production system, this is my area, so you have to apply to me. So these are also the areas. Biosafety and animal health. So we are into development of test kits, no? Our paper in CAE just won the award during the last bar presentation, no? And then environment also, we are into climate change research. Enterprise development is a big area for research. Actually, our scholar, we have scholar here, Mr. Erickson is working on enterprise community development leading to enterprise development. No? Product development is an area, and industry and policy, technology transfer, and then socioeconomic dimensions. So those are the priority areas of the Philippine Carabao Center. So if you are interested to join us, then those are the areas that you need to comply. Don't submit proposals that are not aligned to our priority areas. It will end up somewhere. So to implement the focus research, we have some internal policies. Siguro ito importante din ito sa inyo. For example, kung pag-uusapan ay non-biotech research, kapag ikaw ay PCC empleyado at permanent, dapat 100% on buffalo. But if the proposal is on biotechnology, dapat may ratio because we will be moving out of our mandate. So 80% ruminants and 20% on non-ruminants. Likewise, this is also important that in the capsule detailed proposal submitted, it has the rationale should specify the concern being addressed and the practical application of it. Kasi kung wala namang application, normally, hindi papasa doon sa technical working group. So it has to be relevant to the livestock industry, specifically on Carabao. And of course, we have the ethics committee. It need to pass through the research ethics committee. So, ipapakita ko lang yung organizational structure ng PCC because the thematic areas that are mentioned are actually captured in our organizational structure. Ito rin siguro yung importante. Pwede tayong gumawa ng napakaraming areas, but who will do it? So more or less, our thematic areas fit with our R&D organizational structure. Kaya kapag breeding, breeding ka. Kapag reproduction, doon ka sa ganon. When wala ng turuan, alam mo na yung task mo. Likewise, we have the industry, dairy buffalo industry strategic plan. It has to fall somewhere. If you are working on calves, then it will be here. On milk, it will be here. So it cannot be separated from the plan. It has to comply. It has to conform with our industry or strategic plan. Likewise, as I've mentioned a while ago, it has to be within the value chain. Otherwise, the application of that technology will not happen. It will end up somewhere. But if it addresses the need of the industry, those that were enumerated in the value chain, these are the gaps and these are the recommendations, then surely it can be applied. So, last 5 minutes maybe will be devoted to some management system. No, we have also the typical evaluation of research proposals. We have the GAA fund, close to maybe 80 million. We have the standard format for submission, and then we have system of evaluation by internal and external experts, and then finally it will pass through the ethics committee, and then the chief of research and development division will recommend to the executive director, and finally approval. That's the system. And we have also the procedure for evaluating ongoing research projects. We have the pre-in-house, practice, and the in-house for final presentation, and the external evaluators will be there to judge the paper. Publications, we have some, and all papers to be published will pass through the publication and presentations review committee. Pag hindi nakapasa doon, babalik ng konti, i-revise, i-improve so that it can be recommended. Awards and incentives, no? We have our annual during our anniversary. So we recognize those that are deserving in terms of research. Yung mga nanalo, we're giving some plaques and monetary awards. We cannot give 175,000 just like the Dr. Franco's what he did in Iligan, but we have some monetary awards, and we have our internal funding also, and we source fund from DA Bar and the OST. So, 2 years ago, we have funds also from the SWD. Degree programs, incentives, and recognitions. No? Alam nyo naman sa gobyerno, especially sa Department of Agriculture, walang promotion ang mga researchers. So, we use the scientific career system of NAST, the OST. Kasi this is a career progression. No? Basta permanent ka, pwede ka maging scientist 1, pag magaling ka pa, maging scientist 2, and pag magaling ka pa, you can be promoted to up to scientist. Our highest is scientist 3. So mayroon na kaming scientist 3. So as of last year, mayroon kaming 6 na career scientist. Nag-retire na yung isa. Kasama po ako doon. At mayroon din po kaming 2 OYS. Ito mga incentives for our researchers. OYS is Outstanding Young Scientist. And this award is given to qualified researchers with age less than 40 years old. So you can still apply. Or you can talk to Ma'am Jane and she will recommend you to NAST. And we have a program. I asked our human resource development to allow permanent employees to undergo higher studies, graduate program. No? For example, I instructed when I came 4 years ago, dapat 10% ng ating researchers ay PhD, 40% ay masters, at 50% ay BS. And we did that. After 4.5 years, kailangan ko pala magpalabas ng at least 10 scientists, researchers to study locally or abroad. As of today, 14 permanent research staff are pursuing graduate studies, 9 local, 4 abroad, and 1 hybrid program. 5 PhDs and 9 MS. Si Erickson po yung isang PhD po dyan, local and local. And also, we have some provisions for our JO or contract of service. We allow them to pursue graduate studies. For example, we are close to CLSU. So madali lang tumakas sa office, then they go to CLSU, attend the program, and then go back to work. That is under special arrangement. Bawal po yun, pero because of special arrangement, babayaran ko po sa Sabado, we allow that. And to attend R&D conferences, masipag po kami dito. We have funds for our staff, researchers to attend conferences local and abroad. So marami po namang nananalo. So it's an honor also for the agency. So publications. So hindi talaga siya marami, but in 2017, 19 papers were published in refereed journals. 4 papers published in Philippine journals, 15 papers published in international journals. And we avail of the Magna Carta for scientists, engineers, researchers, and other SNT personnel. Ito yung RA 8439. Kung gusto nyo, may pambayad kayong paglalaba at may hazard pay, then request your HR to submit your names to DOST. Right now, we have total researchers, PCC researchers, is 168, 124 permanent, and 44 job orders. In 2016, 45 lang po yung accredited ng DOST for the Magna Carta. In 2017, 84 na, and 2018, 95 na po. And it's moving forward. This is a very good incentive for researchers. Meron ka ng hazard pay, meron ka pang laundry allowance. So, yung iba, meron pa ring additional honorarium, but hindi naman nakukuha lahat. So, napakaganda pong incentive to our researchers. This is an example of an R&D program. Ito na po yung enumerations ng mga disciplines, and these are the indicators. Ito po yung direct translation. Dapat mag-contribute sa sagatas. Kung ang research mo hindi mag-contribute ng increase in milk production, then you have to revise the proposal. So the proposal has to generate an output that would contribute to the income of the farmers. Likewise, this is another PICARD funded project. It's a bundle project. Sama-sama na yung nutritionist, reproductive physiologist, animal breeding, etc. Kasi in a normal situation, animal nutritionist will propose, animal breeder will also propose, sociologist will propose another proposal. So what we did was to prepare a bundle program, submit to PICARD, and PICARD funded the bundle program. So it's good to work as a team, no? Wag na lang kayong mag-isa. If you want to travel alone, you can go fast. But if you travel together, you can go further. Mas malayo pong mararating nyo. So, ito po yung completed as of today, and then we have 60 ongoing and researches on the pipeline. So, tuloy-tuloy po yun. So, we have the PCC Sherka Scholarship Program. As of today, we have 10 scholars, 3 pursuing international studies, and then 7 local. So, other challenges. Ito, ayaw natin pag-usapan, kaya hinilagay ko. Pero ito talaga ang number 1 slide ko sana. Pero natakot akong i-discuss. So, RA 9184, Procurement Law. Ito yung delayed arrival of supplies, lack of suppliers, specs not followed, etc. So, sa totoo lang, planning lang ito eh. And training of procurement staff and back members, including the head of the agency. Actually, isa sa problema ng yung head of the agency, like me, hindi uma-attend ng meeting. Kaya kapag pipirma na siya, ang dami niyang tanong. Because the head of the agency ay siya ang head of procuring entity or hope. Kung hindi mo alam yung 9184, takot kang pumirma. So training, the head of the agency should attend yung annual training on procurement. Manpower to support yung procurement. Lahat ng nasa opisina ng procurement, job order. Pero I take the risk. Nag-apply ako sa DBM nakakuha akong 3. Yung pala pwede naman pala mag-apply. Takot lang tayo mag-apply. So I got 3 permanent positions for the procurement office. And yung regular cascade ng information. Palagi namang, when I came in 2014, mas marami pa yung revision. Ganito kakapal yung yung original APP, yung revisions mas makapal. Because of poor planning and specs. Palaging balik ng balik. Pabalik-balik. So nainis na ako. So really, cascade of information to staff. Mga end users, sinisisi niyo yung planning office. Pero tingnan natin, pinareview ko yung reason bakit bumabalik ang mga APPs. Mali ang specs. And meron kaming yung annual supplier summit. Ito yung every December, kinocall namin yung mga suppliers ng PCs. Hindi naman ako maharap doon, yung procurement office. And then in-explain nila yung mga details ng procurement. Last 2 slides. Institutionalization of contract of service, di ba? Sino bang job order dito? Wala, permanent kayo lahat. Tama ba? But ako marami. I have 400 JOs all over the Philippines. So the joint circular is a big problem to me. But recently, it was extended up to December 2020. So because there's a limited service providers for technical and administrative positions. Cash-based budgeting. Siguro narinig nyo na ito. Cash-based budgeting, it will start 2019. And the BUR, budget utilization rate, will be based on disbursement and not on obligation. Magaling lang tayo mag-obligate, pero hindi tayo nakakabayad. This is a big problem. So, sabi ko, magaling na kami sa PCC, pero sa DA, kami ay number 16. Diba? So, may konting yabang, pero pag kinompare na with other agencies, hindi ka pala number 1. We are number 16 at the DA. So what we did, siyempre, may back kami sa Central, and then we established yung mga backs all over the Philippines. And annually, I have to attend yung annual budget meeting. Kasi ito yung importante. COA AOM. Kung ayaw nyo makakuha ng AOM, huwag po kayong tumanggap ng admin position. Because this is usual. This is normal. So don't be afraid to receive AOMs from your COA. Bigyan nyo na lang ng explanation kung bakit kailangang hindi kayo magbayad, no? So this is again, last year I have 17 AOMs. In 4 years I have 1 disallowance. So ganyan po ang kaya minsan yung head ng agencies hesitant to sign. And because we are hesitant to sign, nadidelay po lahat ng transactions. The President issued a memorandum that kung na-consummate ang transaction, we have to pay in 15 days. Kaya ba yun ng UPLB? I reviewed our transactions. Less than 10% ang nababayaran namin in 15 days. So we really have to change the system para makabayad kami within 15 days. So mas marami na, siguro 50% na ng aming transactions can be paid in 15 days. So you really have to change the admin in finance, maybe change the people. If they are afraid to sign, you know what to do. So outputs, we have the gene pools, we have for meat and draft type. We have organized cooperatives in all over the Philippines, more than 200 groups. We're developing outlets all over the Philippines. Milka Creme at UPLB is there, Dairy Box somewhere. We have 2 in Cebu. We have 3 in Bohol, and then we're developing in Mindanao and many more. We're supplying milk to Magnolia. Kumain kayo ng avocado ice cream, that's buffalo milk. And we have technologies that are needed to increase productivity and profitability of the enterprise. Impacts, based on our mandate, we can say that we provided sustainable income for the farmers and improved nutrition of the children. And we have the sustained population of buffalo for utilization. I think that's the last slide, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Del Barrio. Before we proceed with our open forum, we would just like to acknowledge our participants. So pag tinawag po natin yung mga names ng institution, kaway-kaway lang po tayo. First, we have from CPAF, College of Public Affairs, UPLB. Asan po ang mga taga-CPAF? Okay po. So we have from different departments. So CPAF, STI Education Services Group, and then IWEP, CAFS, UPLB, SESAM, UP Los Baños, and other UPLB participants from graduate school. Okay. We also have from Ateneo de Iloilo. Okay. BFAR 4A Calabarzon, Central Luzon State University / CPAF, De La Salle University Dasmariñas, yan ma'am. Department of Education, Franklin Baker Company of the Philippines, FTech R&D Philippines Incorporated, Global Resources for Assessment, Curriculum and Evaluation Incorporated, Gordon College, Erie, Laguna State Polytechnic University, LGU Makilala Cotabato / CPAF, Mariano Marcos State University, Masaya Integrated National, Oblate Apostles of the Two Hearts, Philrise Los Baños, Pilmico Animal Nutrition Corporation, PUPSRC, STI Education Services Group Incorporated, UPH Molino. Okay. Baka may makalimutan. Okay. Yes. I think one more. ASTI. DOST ASTI. DOST UPLBC PAF Project. FNRI. PTRI. Okay. All right po. So again, thank you again kay Dr. Del Barrio. Actually, madalas din po akong nauubusan ng mga products sa Milka Creme. Akala ko nga po may dala si Sir na Cara Cafe. Joke lang po. Okay, so to facilitate the open forum, our discussant is a member of the NAST, serving as chair of the Agricultural Sciences Division since 2015. He is best known for his pioneering work on hybrid breeding of indigenous tropical vegetables. His research interests cover plant physiology, agronomy, and agriculture's impact on environment. The NAST recognized his book, The Unfolding Gene Revolution, as an outstanding book in 2008. He also helped establish East-West Seed Company, now #1 in global access to seed index. He earned his degree in BS Agriculture and MS Horticulture from UPLB and finished his PhD in plant breeding from Cornell University. He also served as executive director of the Philippine Rice Research Institute, or PhilRice. He is currently working on the book entitled The Inconvenient Truth About Rice, which advocates linking of agriculture with human nutrition and environmental care. Our discussant for this open forum, please welcome Dr. Eufemio T. Rasco Jr. May we also invite our two guest speakers on stage for the open forum.
Okay, so thank you. I'm imagining myself as a R&D manager. Sayang kung narinig ko sana kayo bago ako naging research manager, I would have become a better research manager. Congratulations. I think both of you made an excellent presentation, very informative. My job as a discussant, I hope I'm not the moderator. Someone has to moderate. Someone has to stop me. Okay. Is to try and highlight some of the important points. You covered a lot of grounds, and I think many of us have experienced some kind of information overload. So perhaps to help us digest the information, I see my job as trying to point out the highlights, and secondly, some of the gaps. Well, I am fortunate enough to have experienced research from the point of view of a research manager working in an academic institution. My experience with the Institute of Plant Breeding for 6 years was very helpful. And also experience in working with a government research institution with PhilRice gave me the ability to understand the messages that you presented. Well, if ever I notice some of the gaps, perhaps it's because of my exposure with another sector that both of you may not have covered. That being associated with a private company, East West Seed Company. So it is on this background that I'd like to start my discussion. First, in every major undertaking, such as institution building and developing R&D program, the first thing needed is a spark. Just like a fire, to start a big fire, you don't need a big fire. You only need a spark, okay? And I think we have two contrasting sparks here. In the case of MSU, the spark was, you know, the concern that they are lagging behind other academic institutions in terms of academic productivity. Well, as Dr. Tebes pointed out, when he became research director, they only had 3 ISI publications. I mean, if you pride yourself as a leading academic institutions and you have so many PhDs and MS and only 3 ISI publications, that indeed is such a sorry state. And that, I think, was the spark that initiated all this institution building, program development efforts that eventually led to, what was the latest score? 162 ISI publications. This is in a matter of less than 10 years. So can we give Dr. Tebes a big hand? From 3 to 162, that's quite a big jump. Now, on the other hand, the Philippine Carabao Center, what was the spark? The spark was the recognition that our farmers are poor. So the need to provide service to the farmers was the spark. And this eventually led to the creation of PCC and later on development of innovative programs like the Milk Crema. I'm a regular customer of Milk Crema. Can you give me a discount? Dati, whenever I go there, there's always a lot of milk. And I can buy 2 or 3 liters. But today, in 3 attempts, I'm lucky to have to be able to buy 1 liter of milk. Parating no supply, empty yung kanilang shelves. I don't know what they're selling there. Space? Empty space. But that's a sign of how successful PCC was. I've been telling, when I was director of Field Rice, I always tell our seed production group that the best bodega is an empty bodega. Whenever I get a request for additional warehouse space, I tell them, you don't need additional warehouse space, but you need more effort to bring this seed as quickly as you can to the users, so you don't have to store them. Let the farmers store them if they need to, but get rid of it as quickly as you can, because many of these biological materials deteriorate during storage. You don't want to keep them for a year. After a year, they are useless. So these are the sparks. But in the process, I think what they missed to point out is while they have a specific focus, they are also concerned about in the other things, like in the case of MSU, they're also concerned about translating research into something useful. So they have initiated innovation hubs. In the case of PCC, I think this is what Dr. Del Barrio failed to emphasize. Maybe he said, but maybe I was sleeping. The linkage with academia. That is a very strong feature of PCC that I have always tried to copy when I was with Field Rice. It's no accident that they are close to CLSU. I think it was done on purpose, so that whatever brain power there is in CLSU, they can tap. And indeed, if you try to examine the scientific publications of PCC, many of these are done in collaboration with CLSU, either students or professors of CLSU. So it's very important, even for a service-oriented government R&D, to be able to tap academia, partnership, collaboration. You mentioned the importance of collaboration as one of the things that should be emphasized in training R&D workers. But, well, having said the spark, let me now focus on some of the gaps. Okay. The enabling, I would say, the enabling feature of an R&D program, enabling in the sense that what sort of practices or activities or programs can you do to facilitate the translation of research? Well, there are many different models, but one model that I'd like to present, not by way of suggestion, but one of the alternatives that can be considered in trying to facilitate the establishment of the link between organizations that are involved in commercializing technologies uh, with organizations that are involved in research. Um, this brings to mind the 1980s when I was a young researcher. I was a new PhD, and at that time, the concern of the UP system was the very low salaries of professors. No? I don't know if that is still a problem uh, now that there is, a series of salary increases. But at that time, it was really a concern. We had professors leaving the university, perhaps to join the private sector or private universities. And so the university administration had to think of creative ways to retain them and at the same time be able to perform, to fulfill the mandate. One of the creative ideas that were implemented at that time was to allow Fridays for consultancy on official time. No? Is that still being practiced? Well, it was a response to that crisis that they were afraid that high-level people might leave the university. So they actually encouraged moonlighting. And I was one of the beneficiaries of that moonlighting. Uh, well, I accepted the offer of East West Seed to help establish that company right here in the Philippines. Okay. But it was also a response to another problem. We didn't have any money for research. In the 1980s, some of you who have experienced this decade, it was really bad. We had a very strict priority setting. In the case of vegetables, if you're not working on tomato or cucumber, you won't have any money. But at that time, somebody was already working on tomato and cucumber in UPLB. So I had to find a way of pursuing my interest, and East-West happened to be that. At that time, my dream was to develop indigenous vegetables like calabasa, ampalaya, patola, etc., upo, the ones that you hear in Bahay Kubo, right? But that was not a priority at that time. Fortunately, the president of East West agreed that, hey, this is an interesting field. Why don't we work on it? And so that started East West Seed Company. Today, it has become global. The first day of that company was right here in the Philippines. But today, it's now a global company covering all the continents. And as mentioned, it's the leading company in terms of access to seeds by small farmers. So the inspiration of that company was small farmers, just like PCC. And the outcome was, eventually it became a global company. If you are interested to see what that company has accomplished, try to look at the exhibits along Pili Drive. You won't miss it because the prettiest fields of crops are on the left side of Pili Drive going to the university from Erie. One of those is an exhibit of East West Seed Company. Well, the lesson here is that there has to be a link between industry and government or academic research institutions, one way or the other. In my case, it was moonlighting, and that was occasioned by the problems of, number one, low salary, and number two, low research budget, which prevented us from pursuing our interest. Okay. Now, talking of priorities, I've always quarreled with higher-ups, either in government, private sector, or in the acronym because I don't believe in priorities. I think it's a hindrance to creativity. If you set a certain set of parameters that your research should fall into this box, and if it's outside the box, then you cannot have money. I have always rebelled against that concept. In progressive companies like Microsoft or Apple, they have a certain group of people called the skunk group. Now, that skunk group doesn't have any mandate but to come up with creative ideas, which may or may not fall within the priorities. Later at the Institute of Plant Breeding, I tried to introduce that concept. And what we had, what I called Sunday afternoon projects. These are the projects that are not formally funded. But the way we do it is we borrow funds from existing projects, yung mga savings here and there, and that is what we use to finance this so-called Sunday afternoon project. Sunday afternoon, not because we literally do it on Sundays, but it's something that is unofficial to a certain extent. So priorities, I don't know, I question that concept. Now, regarding incentives, I was given only about 3 minutes, I suppose, left. There are two ways of doing this. One is carrots, okay? Both of them mention carrots, but none of them mention stick. If carrot doesn't work, you use a stick. I tried to do that at PhilRise, and I became one of the most unpopular directors. To encourage publication, I said, if you don't publish within 3 years, you're out. Well, I retired before I was able to carry out that threat, so I don't know what happened. But that is one, approach. If carrot doesn't work, try stick. Stick always works. You ask our president, President Duterte. It always works. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rasco. Now, if our speakers would like to respond to Dr. Rasco, we will give you 2 minutes, but if not, we can open the floor for open forum. Would you like to respond, sir?
Yes, I just have a few addenda. Regarding, yeah, that's really true. Collaboration with, in our case, with the private sector. We don't have many, but at least we have already 2. We have a collaboration with Nutratech, with our College of Engineering. The production of fructooligosaccharides from yacon is now being used as a prebiotic in a lot of products by Nutratech. The other one is, again, between our College of Engineering and ChemRes. You know that company for new materials. So from research to industrial application, and from research in the bench, now going out to market. So we're trying to encourage more of this. It's not much, but we have started with this.
I agree. Sir, I agree. Siguro, regarding the PC's collaboration with the SEUs, it's in the law. I mentioned in one of my slides that by law, we are partnered with SEUs, actually 10 best SEUs in the Philippines, UPLB, CLSU, the MMSU. So the idea is really for complementation purposes, manpower, funds, laboratories, etc. I think when I was here, one semester we have 12 graduates from UPLB Animal Science. So something like that. So that is inherent in the PCC. So we have also some collaborations abroad, Hokkaido University on AMR, antimicrobial resistance. This week we are celebrating the AMR, antimicrobial resistance. Wag po kayong ano ba? Kayong kakain ng mga pagkaing itrinit ng antibiotics. Anyway, so the rest, carrot and stick, I like that, pero carrot muna ako ngayon. So, like commercialization, I mentioned our collaboration with Magnolia. When I came to Nueva Ecija 4.5 years ago, we are disposing mga 1,000 liters because we don't have market. Now, the problem is the other side. We have no supply. So production increased, market improved, no supply. Now we go back to basic production.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rasco, Dr. Teves, and Dr. Del Barrio. Now we are ready. The floor is now open for your questions. So you may just approach this microphone. Yes, sir.
Raymond from CIPAF. There's also a frequent mention of the tie-up between academe, industry, and government. Why not formally include the civil society in that formula?
Civil society. You like to comment on that?
Ano example ng civil society?
Greenpeace.
Meron akong partnership with Gawad Kalinga because Gawad Kalinga is mga social entrepreneurs. So, meron kaming dalawang partnership. One is yung Kalabu, producing different butter and yogurt and being marketed somewhere in Makati. And another partnership with GK is the Carabella. You search from the internet. Carabella is another project in partnership with Gawad Kalinga. So what is exciting about the partnership with Gawad Kalinga is the social responsibility. They will buy the milk at high price, sell the product at high price. So in effect, they are helping the farmers. The other side is you buy at low price, sell at high price, and then the profit goes to the, to the investor, not to the farmer. So we have two partnership with the civic organizations. So we work with cooperative associations all over the Philippines. We have more than 200 groups being supported. So marami po.
I have an issue with partnership with civil society. I'm concerned about the sustainability because many civil society organizations are too much oriented to service and they forget profits. It's profits that can sustain a company's operation. I failed to mention in my talk the possibility now that we have an enabling law, the Technology Transfer Act, of researchers themselves forming a company while still associated with the organization. This is possible now with the Technology Transfer Act. Or even the research organization itself can form a spin-off company made up of researchers from the research organization. This is also possible now. But as far as I know, no one has actually utilize this avenue for commercializing research output. And because of this, the commercialization of research output is really very, very, very low at this time. My guess is less than 1% of research output has actually been commercialized.
I would like to add something also to that. I think you may be talking about a development model called quadruple helix. I think that's the essence of your question. Yes, the civil society is really part of it, but in our case, we involve them, especially in the extension, the community service aspect of after the research, and then you have extension, and we do have a lot of collaboration with civil societies based on their need. Example one, there are requests from our Bamboo Technology Research Center of MSU IIT for training programs among civil societies for the small engineered bamboo products for livelihood, and we have been doing that for several years. Then we have research outputs on indigenous food products, especially Maranao food products. And palapa is one of those. I don't know if you've heard of palapa, but you can already find this in bottled, containers sold in supermarkets. Palapa is very nice. It's parang ano siya, appetizer, no? You mix it with food and it gives it a special flavor, and it's for free. This aspect of research outputs for community service. So we involve the civil societies for this, and they are now the ones producing this. I think some of these are already here in Manila. You can look for palapa as a product, and there are others that are in the pipeline.
You were raising your hands earlier.
Well, there was an issue actually about Industry 4, no? And this was MSU IIT's issue right now, and of course it could be cascaded to, let's say, the Carabao Research Center. No? So what are you doing about this? Are your research development now geared toward this for the next maybe midterm or long-term situation? Because your technologies that you're developing would have it will be ending its life cycle, or has it reached a certain level of the life cycle of the product? Let's say, is it in the growth stage, or mature stage, things like that? Are your institutions preparing for these kinds of study in such a way that you can really pick the champions in your R&D, meaning that they will be part of the technology adoption life cycle? No? Have you pinpointed these champions already? Because if you're just doing R&D for the sake of research and development and putting a champion there has a little bit impact, you cannot make more or less transformation. Remember that the products has to move from product, go to process, and eventually you must lower the cost to transfer that technology. So things like this, are these already part of your menu for your future plans? Because incubators, research centers are just part of it. No? How do you now move further towards making these products really adopted by society? Just like, for example, in Australia, Milo, for example, was developed in Australia, invented in Australia, but now where is Milo now? It is already part of our lifestyle. We're drinking Milo every day. It's a global situation. Vegemite, another example, which was developed in a certain, R&D or more or less, skunk work situation. So how do you now pinpoint the champions of your R&D institutions that this will be champion for the next years, and that we need to continuously innovate or more put R&D on this to reach a certain standard? Things like that. Thank you.
May sagot ka? Ikaw muna.
Okay, so ako daw muna yung answer nun. Industry 4.0 is really very challenging. And I confess that for us in MSU IT, this is a new frontier and a new challenge, a big challenge for us. One thing that we are doing because of awareness of what Industry 4.0 is, and in fact, we're still trying to let all our constituents understand. First is understanding of what Industry 4.0 is and its possible impact on not only on the institution but the society and our way of life. Our way of life. It is said that in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, we will already be feeling the pressures of Industry 4.0, in which we really don't know exactly. We can only say it's something new, very new, but what exactly will be the impact? I think we will only know when we get there. Okay, but for now, one thing that we would like to do is to put IT in all our researches. Information technology is central for endeavors, even researches. Okay, it must be there. And all our researchers must be IT literate. IT literacy is very important, not only for the sciences and engineering, but even for the social sciences. They have to be IT literate so that we will be able to understand what we're talking about, and we can interface with non-human components, robots, computers, because we will have a lot of this. So for now, that's the first thing that we have done. And so we are trying to set up our agenda for IT to be central to all our research and development endeavors.
Well, very relevant question and difficult to answer. But generally, what we want to do is to harmonize the production system. We call it dairy hub. It's dairy hubs like the techno hub, no? So wherein producers are input suppliers are there, milk producers are there, and then collection system installed, and then supply to major manufacturers in the Philippines. So we are crafting the next medium-term plan of PCC, and that's the idea. And just like Jollibee, Jollibee stalls all over the Philippines, we're thinking of having dairy box all over the Philippines. First, develop a small community, install a small processing plant for milk, and then maybe rent a small store also. It will be named Dairy Box to sell quality products. And if you can see that all over the Philippines, then I think that's one way of commercializing, no? But in a larger scale, for example, in Nueva Ecija, we're thinking of harmonizing the, the, the business players there. Invite private sector to invest. Even, sir, the Milka Creme, the milk processing facility in Nueva Ecija, our idea is to, not for PCC to operate. We will look for a private sector to run that facility. Actually, we're talking of PPP arrangement already because we cannot run it, and the government should not run a business. So we're thinking along that line.
Okay, so I think in the interest of time, we can have the last two questions. Dr. Quino?
Dong, These two papers give us the opportunity to compare where to situate RDI or center. This is the the climate for which you do your work. The first one, of course, is the setting of an academe. As you know, in academe, they have different tradition, they have different mission, they have different concerns, day-to-day problems, and so forth. The other one is based in the department. In this case, Department of Agriculture. Okay. If we compare the two, what are the strengths and weaknesses of operating under the climate of an academic institution? And another one is strengths and weaknesses of operating within a department. Now, related to this is the second part of the question is, one issue in resource management is that you need to manage both ends. One is to manage research to produce the scientific output. Another one, and which will be the concern of the Technology Management Center of UP in Diliman, is how do you manage post-research? Okay. Not only we want to excel in management to generate knowledge, but we also want to excel post-research activities so that we can create the impact that we are talking about. So let me reiterate first, to compare the strengths and weaknesses in working under the environment of an academic institution with that of the department, which is more action-oriented. And the other one is how do you manage basically post-research activities.
Maybe the first question, my answer for the first question is we do applied research, more on applied research. We do basic research also, but later on, majority we do applied research and we direct application to to our clients. So that's my answer. The post research activities in our organizational structure, we have the knowledge management division that handles the inputs of research. And then one example is, for example, we have collaboration with Sherka developing knowledge products that can be cascaded to different stakeholders. So there's one group, one division that handles the knowledge. So they can develop, we have several publications that can be, we have the Carabao magazine, we have the NISA bulletin, we have different publications that are prepared for distribution. So KPs are the laymanized version of the technologies that were developed from research. And it's available online. So you can read what are the KPs, knowledge products of the PCC. You can read how to make cheese, how to make pastillas, something like that. How to earn from seed production of some forage for livestock. So we have the KPs.
The question is really very, it's core probably, it's the core of the discussion. From the point of view of the academe, we can say that in the academic institution, you really find there the experts, most of the people that are trained here and abroad are there, the concentration of experts. But one thing that is a weakness that I see is the lack of entrepreneurial nature. When we tried to embark on our income generating program at MSU IIT, the first comment that I gave was I was not very popular because of my comment. I told the administration, you cannot run an IGP like an academic department. You can never run it. It will not succeed. If it is going to be run, the usual academic way, it has to be run like a business, a business enterprise. And many colleagues did not like that comment of mine, but that is really true. It's a weakness in many academic institutions, the lack of entrepreneurial, ability, which I believe can be developed. The industry has that strength, and in fact, there are times that there is going to be a push and pull between the academe and the industry, because the industry would like us to shorten the incubation time for a certain technology so that it can be, it can be commercialized. But the academe tries to pull it back. No, not yet. We're not ready. But when? That's a big question mark. And that is one of the things that I have really seen working at work. And we have been trying to, encourage our faculty researchers. That's why every now and then we invite them to be in our technology business incubator, and they get involved. What is really TBI and how they can get involved in the TBI activities, just so they will have a change in their mindset. It's not only teaching, it's not only theoretical research, but it's application for improvement of our lives, people's lives. The other question is what to do with the post-research outputs. I cut my presentation. Actually, there is a component there on the pre-implementation of research, implementation phase, and the post-implementation phase. How do we utilize our research outputs? It's not only, of course, publication is one of those, patent is another, but there are types of applications that need to be translated directly to the community. Okay, although we want to earn, but we also want part of our research outputs would be service to the community, and we have programs for this. Research utilization. It's a requirement for our researchers to already incorporate in their proposal how they will utilize the research outputs.
You can look R&D as some kind of a spectrum from basic research to commercialization of the product. What I observe in many research institutions locally, whether it is government or academe, is the apparent reluctance to fund basic research. I think this is partly because of the pressure from funding institutions that they should come up with results that can be used immediately. I think this is a mistake. Basic research has its own justification. And you can imagine it as something that will guarantee that the truth that extension workers are trying to propagate are actually valid. And if the technology doesn't work, then the results of basic research can explain why. For example, if you know the mechanism by which nitrogen is, utilized by the plant, and how it is recycled and moves within the soil, then if a certain kind of nitrogen fertilizer doesn't work, then you can explain why it doesn't work because of the knowledge of this nitrogen cycle, which is a very basic knowledge. But without this knowledge, then you can never improve technology. So I think we should encourage more of our research institutions to allocate some money into basic research.
Thank you very much to our speakers and our discussant. Since it's already 12 o'clock, we have to cut our program. We will just pause for a break for lunch. But before that, we would like to invite Dr. Jane Reyes, Program Chair of PRDM Program, and Assistant Professor Rita Ramos, Secretary to the Faculty of FMDS, to award our token and certificate of appreciation. First, for our speakers, University of the Philippines Open University, the National Academy of Science and Technology, and the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development present the Certificate of Appreciation to Franco G. Teves as plenary speaker during the Colloquium on Innovations and Trends in R&D Management held on 14 to 15 November 2018 at UPOU Headquarters, Los Baños, Laguna, signed Jane C. Reyes, Program Chair, DRDM, and Project Leader, MRDM Project, and Dean Primo G. Garcia. Ma'am Rita. And next is for Dr. Arnel N. Del Barrio. Okay. And also, Certificate of Appreciation awarded to Eufemio T. Rasco Jr. as discussant during the colloquium. Okay, so that concludes our morning session, and we will pause for a lunch break, and we will resume at 1:30 for the next plenary session. We would also like to invite everybody for a photo op with our speakers and discussant.